Jai Gurudev. So, welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam satsang on this beautiful Sunday. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, Verse 12. And it's from the Lila of Sati, where she leaves her body. And here she is speaking to Daksha, to her father, who is one of the Prajapatis. So the Prajapatis are the progenitors, one, you could say, wise people who are populating the earth. So, dosham paresham hi guneshu sadavo ghananti kechina bhavadrsho dvija gunamscha palghun bhalvi karishnavo mahatamastesh avidat bhavan agham. Twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. So here, Sati is addressing her father as twice born. And twice born is somebody who is learned, who learned from a Sadguru, who learned from he knows all the Vedas, or I don't know to which extent he knows the Vedas, but they're very learned people. And she says it somehow like to show him that especially you should know not to judge and criticize other people. And here, as I said, it's the Leela when Sati, she, despite her husband Shiva, telling to her, no, don't go to this yagna sacrifice, but she is so upset that she was not invited, and her husband, that she walks away from Mount Kailash. And when she leaves the place, the entourage of Shiva is looking at her, and they're following her with kettle drums and a big orchestra, and they're following her till she reaches the place where the big yagna is taking place. And she stands there, and she is not addressed by anybody apart of her mother and her sisters, but still in a very reserved way. She doesn't greet them back, but she's just standing there. Her father is completely ignoring her, almost like you could say ashamed that she even came. And then in this chapter, you can see the dialogue she has in telling her father off, how dare you're behaving in this way. And so why I chose this verse is mainly about not to judge. It's a big topic. Guruji speaks so often about it. And here also in this verse we see she addresses him as twice born. And there is a bit of, I think we can take something from that, because we are also people who didn't hear at least once not to judge other people. Yeah, we heard it so many times from Guruji, throughout the years, and still it can happen that we still do it. And I think it's not a phenomenon just for devotees. It's in general, the whole world is actually built on just judging other people. And the more sad part comes when we have the knowledge not to do it, but despite that, we still choose to do it. And I watched a satsang of Guruji, I think it was 2022, where he was asked, why are we afraid when this love manifests in us? Why does it go away from us? Why do we have this fear to keep it? Or this fear, no, actually the fear to lose it. And Guruji said something very interesting. He said, the way how we see ourselves is in a very limited way. We limit ourselves, we judge ourselves, and like this, the greatness, the grace, and the blessing cannot manifest in us. And he said, we should rather see ourselves as child of God and being part of that universal love. But despite that, we still limit ourselves with our own self-judgment. And like often when I do satsang, I take something which happened recently throughout the last 2 weeks. And in this case, it was not just 2 weeks, but I would say it was one of the longest periods since I'm in Bhakti Marga of having the feeling being very unhappy. And many things happened actually in the outside in a very positive way. So you could argue I should have all the reasons to be happy. And I really tried. I sat down, I was doing my japa, I was reading the scriptures. I was doing so many things which are actually, you could say, is right. But still it was this feeling of like, there is something which I don't see. And it kept on and on and on and on. Every day I woke up and it was this unhappy feeling constantly. And normally I'm a person, I like to, let's say, go through different phases of my life, which are unpleasant, because I know in that moments of life, I can learn the most. When we are not very happy, when something is like nagging on me, I know, okay, wow, now the adventure starts. Now there is something, I can look at it. But still, I was doing stuff and it didn't go away. So one day I was sitting in front of the altar and I was praying to Guruji, just you need to show me what it is. Like, I really have no idea. And I had this beautiful verse in the Gita, chapter 10, verse 11, where Krishna says, out of compassion from them, from within their hearts, I lift the lamp of knowledge and dispel the ignorance of darkness, the darkness of ignorance. Something like this happened in that moment. And suddenly, I was just in a calm state and I was saying, okay, maybe I'm trying too much to do good things. Maybe I just need to be more in a relaxed, calm state. Because suddenly when I opened YouTube, a satsang came where Guruji spoke about this topic of judgment and self-condemnation. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I just sit down and just observe my mind. What does my mind just throw out in the moment of self-perception? And also one of the things, because Guruji invited me the day before to him. And when I was sitting like in the living room, I had again this feeling of unhappiness. It's like, what's going on? Something need to happen. It's not exciting enough. I was like it's crazy. Like, I'm sitting here with Guruji, I should be the most happy person, and my mind is trying to find this and that and this and that. And then I was listening to a Guru Gita, I don't know which day it was, where Guruji was saying that he magnifies the qualities inside of us, so we are almost forced to see it, to change it. Otherwise, you would not see it. Something like what Krishna says here in chapter 10, like, out of ignorance, out of compassion, I lift the lamp of knowledge. Because I could not see it, what it is. So, back again to this moment, I'm sitting there and just observing, okay, and asking the question, how do I see myself? How do I see myself? And without any like fighting it, whatever comes in the mind, I was counting first negative quality, second, third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. At 11, I stopped and I just like, whoa. So this is going on in the subconscious mind of self-perception, how I interact on the daily basis with people. But it's such a subtle way, and it's so personal that I haven't seen it. Like, it became such a natural state of self-perception that these 11 qualities are interacting every day with the world and with other people. Without giving me the chance just to sit down and actually actively contemplating about positive qualities which are also inside of me. And then I said, okay, we need to cook another dish today. Yeah, we cooked this for too long. We cooked today a very positive dish. So I was sitting down and just actively looking, what is it actually that I like about myself? What is it actually, qualities which God has given me to be useful for Lokasangraha, for the entire world? Because what use I am for God if this is the main things I perceive myself and give to the world? And I was sitting down and I just felt suddenly like something was changing. In that moment, something was changing. And this was just the beginning. And the second thing is, why I connected this to this verse, is Daksha, despite being so knowledgeable, he's still judging Shiva. And so I was sat down and I said, okay, how much do I actually judge other people? Because I believe truly, when we sit down and somebody is there, we observe something, and actively we know, we are aware that we are judging the person, we don't like that. It's not something we actively enjoy. But if it's a judgment, like the self-condemnation, which is so subtle to the other people, we even fool ourselves of, well, I know judgment is not good, but clearly, like, this judgment now, it's really like justifiable. Like, I mean, come on, like, clearly it's really bad what the person is doing. Like, we convince ourselves that this particular judgment of the other person is actually kind of fine. The same was I projecting to the other people. And the moment I was aware of that, this happiness, which I was missing for weeks, suddenly started to come back. So, what was the process? Praying, feeling how it is actually to see oneself, to see other people, asking for help, to lift the lamp of knowledge in my heart, giving me the blessing, the grace to actually see it, and then with a sincere wanting, I want to change that, I can cook a new nice meal of positivity. And actually, I found a very nice verse from a Christian saint where he said, sometimes you fast and pray, but sin doesn't go away from you. The reason is that you're proud and only look at other people's sins. Don't look at the sins of others, and then many problems will fly away from you, which you can't get rid of now. I really can see myself in that. Doing all the things I was right, japa, reading shastras, meditation, kriya, but still this unhappiness was there. So what needs to be changed is actually on the basic level of how we see ourselves. What did Guruji say, as I said before? The grace of God, the greatness cannot manifest in ourselves when we limit ourselves with these limiting thoughts. Because he said, one of the main perceptions what we have in ourselves is the feeling of guilt. And this is one of the another thing which I wanted to speak about, is often what I can see is how we interact with the world. we take the judgment, not among us in the Sangha, but we take the judgment of people outside in such a glamorous, big way that it totally changes ourselves and how we walk on that path. We go into the mode of guilt, of shame, whatever. And when I compare it with other paths, very dogmatic, brutal religions, let's put it like this, despite of their cruelty, they go out into the world and proclaim our path is the best path in the world. And they really believe in that. They know what they're doing, how they spread the path is in a very cruel, brutal way, but still they're so much proud of their path. And on the other side, when we look at the qualities of a Vaishnava, of our path, despite knowing what the tilak stands for, what our path stands for, when we interact with people from the outside, sometimes we go in a mode of we need to excuse ourselves. When we look at the bhajan, what Guruji really likes at Vaishnava Janato, I think you heard it maybe. When we look at, and Guruji was speaking so much about this, the qualities of a Vaishnava. Because recently we had this topic of sometimes we go out and somebody sees us who is in civilian. They see the monks, nuns walking around. And it happened that the person turned the back and was ashamed associating with the brothers and sisters. But why? Because we don't put in our mind enough what actually this path stands for. It's not the clothes. It's not how other people see us. It's actually what we are standing for. And here we see it beautifully in that bhajan. A true devotee is one who understands the pain of others. He helps those in distress but never feels pride. He respects all beings and never speaks ill of anyone. His thought, speech, and actions are pure. His mother is truly blessed. He sees everyone equally, has no greed, and regards other women as his mother. He never lies and does not covet others' wealth. He is free from attachment and firmly rooted in renunciation. He delights in the name of God and understands the pain of birth and death. Such a person with these qualities is a true devotee of God. Beautiful. It's something we, for sure, not live every day, but it's something we are striving for. When somebody challenges me and judges, yeah, you bhaktas and you are so strange people, I like to tell them what actually this tilak stands for. And I'm striving for that. I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect bhakta. But what Guruji teaches us is not to be perfect, but to try our best to become that perfect version, to become somebody like this with these Vaishnava qualities. So when somebody judges us from the outside, I think it's very good to remind them what we are standing for. We are not here just to dance and sing and be different than others. To be a Vaishnava is actually to serve the entire world constantly. And we see in the lives of saints, or somebody who has been different and didn't took the judgment of others as their life, that till today we write books about them. We write and remember their lives. I don't know any saint, any very high exalted person where we say, oh wow, this person took all the time, all the judgment of people and tried to fit in society, how they wanted to have the person. No, but even for example, Guruji was telling the movie 12 Fails. I don't know if you remember. And is actually the movie about a real incident which happened in India. It was a man which tried to be an IPS officer. It's like in the, I don't know, like a detective in the police. And one of the qualities which he didn't waver off was to be righteous. Not to lie, not to cheat, and not to be corrupt. Like his father. His father taught him what are the real values in life. Because he knew what is the real value in life, he took it upon himself, and this is what he was striving for. But how was the world around him? In the school, they wanted to cheat. He didn't want to cheat, so he repeated again the same class. And so on. Then he tried to become an IPS officer. Everybody was ridiculing him. Everybody was telling him, no, you will not do it. But he stand on his 2 feet and didn't waver, despite the criticism and judgment of other people. And what happened? A movie was created around that person, and we remember it till today. And so, to finalize it, Guruji was saying, what is the biggest obstacle regarding love? And he said, judgment and negativity. He said, because we judge, we stay limited. Because we judge, we become negative and size ourselves to be less than we are even as humans. What to say about our divine aspect? And so Guruji also says is, where is the problem in us when often mention hypocrisy? And also one could hear that sometimes lecturers mention this also. There is difference between telling the truth with compassionate love and telling about the fact with subtle and unconscious judging. And even worse, making a new identity of this. Is exactly how I was going through. Instead of saying the fact, the truths in a compassionate, loving way, I was telling the truth with an unconscious, subtle judgment. Why? Because I saw the judgment in myself and then in others. And actually the healing comes with no judgment at all. If we do not judge but accept everything, we release the blocked energy that creates tensions in us and strengthen our false ego. So our false ego, like Guruji says, is strengthened through judgment. Jai Gurudev.